Hello guys, so welcome to my channel and yeah, today we will start I will show you how to build an application using AWS. So here we are using several of the AWS services which include the AWS Amplify for the front end, AWS API Gateway, AWS Lambda functions and AWS DynamoDB for the database storage. So yeah, for the front end we are using AWS Amplify. So Amplify. So this is a front end thing which include the name, email and the message. So this is a simple front end just for the project purpose. So it includes the name, email and the message which will be have a small submit button down there, like we should have created it. Yeah, here we will have a small submit button which on clicking the submit button the API should be triggered, and by API should be triggered with the submit message name. The API gateway, the message will go to the submit message which is the Lambda functions. So Lambda is basically a serverless which trigger the DynamoDB and get submitted this message in the DynamoDB database. Similarly, as an admin, like as if you are an owner, so here when you want to fetch all the data, like all the name, messages and the emails from the DynamoDB, so then you have to trigger API gateway, which is another API which is known as the get message. So like when you click the get message, and when you trigger the get message Lambda function will be called. This is a Lambda function which is also known as serverless, which trigger the DynamoDB and get all the messages and all the data from the DynamoDB to your screen. Yeah. So it's a simple project. API. So here is our API gateway. This is our API gateway, and similarly we are using the DynamoDB. Yeah, here is the DynamoDB, which is for the storing of the database, where we can create a table. And basically it is the DynamoDB is a NoSQL serverless database which only trigger whenever we call any API or any function which is calling to the database. Otherwise it will no cost you. Like whole this is a serverless application deploying. Like Lambda is also a serverless. Like until we don't call him or don't trigger him, it don't cost you anything. And the DynamoDB, it is also NoSQL serverless database which only get you the these all are the pay as you go model. Okay, so yeah, let's get dive into it and let's get started. So we are here with the AWS console. So here I have opened all the services which will be required. AWS Amplify for the front end part, DynamoDB for the storing of the messages and data, all everything, Lambda functions for the function creating, and the API gateway to trigger the Lambda functions. So basically we have to create a new app here. So click on the create new app, and first of all please push your code on the GitHub repository. Maybe it be public or private, it doesn't matter. So here we are on the AWS create new app. So on the Amplify, first of all click on the GitHub and next. So here what is this showing? It should appear a message which asks you to connect your AWS Amplify with your GitHub repository. So for mine it's already connected, so it does not ask. And here you will show all the repository present in your GitHub account. So mine is here application. So first, like, you have to enable all the authentications, like you may also have to give the MFA for that. So like you have to give the permission to the amplifier to access your GitHub repository. It's as simple as that. And here we have to select the branch. So mine is main, like I have only the one branch, so and click on the next. Here what is your application name? So mine application, A should be capital, like for my purpose you can be small also. And this is a build command, like for the running the application, what are the build command that has to be triggered. Like for if you are using the React, then it should be the npm run, npm start, or anything else. Like if you are using a white, it may be the different commands. It is like a it can be automatically written by the AWS Amplify itself. We don't have to do anything. Like it automatically create all the command which should be run while building your application. Okay, so here is option also for editing of the YAML file if you want to write something extra in that. So here I've selected the application name. So from this application name, I can be access my applications. So here's the last review. Repository 1503 application. Front-end build command is nothing, and otherwise it will show all the command here, and save and deploy is as it is that. Let's wait for a second. So it's deploying, and after deploying we can access our front end using this domain name. We can also customize this domain name according to our use. Like go to the hosting part, and here is the custom domain name. You can customize your domain name, and like you have to give there the SSL certificate as well, the route as route 53, and then after that you can change your domain name. After deploying it, we will able to access our front end. Like it is deployed, so we can go click here, and this is our front end. So congratulations guys, you have successfully deployed a front end on the AWS. So this is all front end part has been created. Now first of all, like we have to create a DynamoDB table. For creating a DynamoDB, uh, for like storing all the data, messages from name, email messages, all the IDs from the front end part to the back end part. So DynamoDB. So first of all, we have to create a table. So creating a table, I will name it as a dummy table. You can name it anything. This is a partition key, like it is a primary key in every table, like it is a NoSQL database. So and so all should be yes, and click on the create table. So congratulations guys, once again we have created a table where you can store all your contact information. Let's wait. Yeah, so here we have see that our Dummytable has been created successfully. Click on the cross. Yeah, so this table we will use in the Lambda functions. So we have to create a function. So we will be creating two functions for the create, for the submit, and for the get. Click on the create functions from scratch, like we have to build it from the scratch. What is the function name? Dummy submit function, and the preferred language I use mostly is a Python, as it is easy for use. You can choose any according to your need. Click on the create function. It's creating. Yeah, so our function has been successfully created on the Lambda. Now like it first of all, yeah, it's a new editor one, ignore it. Yeah, here is a first Python code which is given by the Lambda itself to test your code. So first of all, you have to create an event for that. So I will name it as a test event and save it. Yeah, now go for the test. So here guys, we have see the status 200 and the body hello from the Lambda. So to understand this, we have to create a Lambda function that can trigger when the API is called, and when the API is called, that will go to the DynamoDB and store whatever data has been sent from the front end to the DynamoDB database. So for the table, here I will paste. This is the code for the Lambda functions to submit the data to the DynamoDB. Test this, we have to first of all deploy it to make the changes deployed. So now our changes has been deployed successfully. Now go to the configuration test event. Like we have to change this accordingly our need, and I will give you a body. Like it's a simple body which consists of the name, email, and the message, which will be given from the front end, name, email, and message. And this is a body format which will be come from the front end. So save it. This is for the log. We have to give the test event, edit, go to the edit, and then edit the existing one. It will be better. Save it. Now test it. Okay, so it is saying that the access is denied. Why access is denied? Because the access of the lambda function to the dynamodb is denied. So we have to enable the IAM role for the lambda functions to access the dynamodb from the lambda function. So go to the IAM, open it. So here we are. So what is the name of our function? Check it. Submit function. Copy it, go to the IAM, paste it. So here we can see the submit function role. So click here. First of all, click here. Now add the permissions. First of all, here what is this? Add the permissions, attach the policies. Now attaching the policies, we have to give the access to read and write. So we are submitting the data. We have to keep the access of the lambda function, which is here you can see, to the dynamodb. So we have selected the lambda function. Now we will select the dynamodb full access. Click here and add the permissions. So the role has been attached to the policies. Now we can go here and now test it again. For sure it should be run. Yeah, we get it, and the status code is 200 and the success true. So our backend part for the lambda and connecting of the dynamodb has been done. Now what we have to do now, we have to also give the dynamodb table name, replace it with the dynamodb table name. Now deploy it. After deploying it, again test. So now it's giving the true. Now go to the dynamodb database, refresh it. Yeah, so this is the first message, name, and the email which we have stored in our database. So here you can see the string ID. It is a primary key which we have selected while creating a table. So now we have to add the layer here with the API. So go to the API, create API. So we are creating a REST API because REST API is used to control over the request and the response. Like we are requesting the data and we are responding the data to the backend. So we are using this REST API. It is used working with the Lambda, HTTP, and the other AWS services. So click on the build to create the API. Creating a new API. What will be the name of the API? So dummy message in the optional. You have to give anything. Create API. So after creating the API, click on the create resource way, and now click on the create resources. We have to enable the course first of all. Now submit, as we are creating submit API, create resources. Yeah, so here we are, and now we have to create the method. So method for the post, as we are posting data from the front end to the back end. So we are posting the data. So enable the proxy. So first of all, we'll select the post method, select the lambda functions, enable the integration. Now click in here which function you want to trigger when this particular API is called. So dummy submit function which we have created here. So we have to select that part and click on the create method. So here we have called, and now go to the stages. No, first of all, like create stages. Yeah, now here, now go to the post and then deploy the API. You immediately override the current. Yeah, so you have to select the new stage and give the new name. I am using the existing one. I have to override this. So click on the new stage and the one dialog box will appear, and you have to click give any name. So I am using the existing one because I have to override that. Deploy. Okay, so here is the URL for the API. Copy this and go to your code for the front end, and which is on the GitHub, and copy this URL there for the post method. And again, like whenever you make changes in the GitHub, and it will automatically trigger the AWS Amplify, and it will deploy again. You don't have to do anything for the Amplify. So your API will be for the post. Copy this slash submit submit. So this is your whole URL for the post method. Okay, so let test. Yeah, so like we have to test it like this. You can change the name Dave, from here also Dave, and the message. So body will not come, like this will be the test event will be done. So click on the test, so it gives the true. Now go to the DynamoDB, now refresh it. You will see the Dave. This is the test message one. Here we can see, and the Dave dog. So our front end part has been, so our submit part has been completed. So this is the API which you can use. This is the API whole URL, this, and slash submit. So this is a post API, and yeah, this is for the post method has been done completely. Yeah, so for doing of the get part, we have to use the Lambda as well, DynamoDB, and the API gateway as we have used earlier. So first of all, we have to create a Lambda functions to get trigger for getting the message from the DynamoDB. Click on the create function. After creating it, name it. Let me get function as usual. Choose Python 3.13. Create function. After creating it, you have to first of all create it. Go to the code part, and here as usual the hello from the Lambda will be done. So test it, you have to give the test event, test event, and the save. Now test hello from the Lambda. So the code is working fine. Now go to this Lambda function and paste the code. So here you have to use the DynamoDB table name. So your table name, click on the tables. Here you will see the Dummytable name. So Dummytable, and yeah, that's it. So it's simple, it's simple code which is scanning the data from the response, and if the response correct, then it go to the 200, and the success is output. So first of all deploy it. Now click on the test. Error has occurred because we have to give the permission for the IAM to this Lambda functions to access the DynamoDB database. We have not given any permission to this Lambda functions to access the DynamoDB database. So it is giving error that access denied. So go to the IAM, control click, yeah. Go to the role. So click on new dummy. So our is what is the name of our function? So with this name you have to select the permission function, click on this. Now add the permission, attach policies. Here you have to select dynamodb read access. So we are reading the access, so we are reading the data from the backend, so we have to read only access. So add the permission. Yeah, it's as easy as that. Now go to the Lambda function again, click on the test. It might run the message. Yeah, it has run successfully, success true, and here you can see all the messages which is on the database in the DynamoDB. It has been appear on our screen. Yeah, so our connection of the Lambda to the DynamoDB has been done. Now we have to trigger these functions via API. So go to the API console, create the API. No, create the API. Click on the dummy message which we have created for the submit. Dummy, and then create the resources. Resources name is we are getting, so chfetch, create resources. On the fetch, click on the create method. So creating the method as easy as that. We have to use the method type get, where we are getting the data from the database to our screen. The Lambda integration enable, so click here the Lambda function. Now here you have to select the Lambda function which is going to trigger this get function. So our function name is dummy get function. Dummy get fun, here it is. Select this and enable this, mention this, click on the create method. So it has been successfully created the fetch. Here it is. So yeah, so we have successfully created the fetch method. Now we are going to deploy it. Deploy, new stage, dummy production get, deploy. Here it is. So this is your API which will use to get the data from the database. So after when we will use this, it will give the same error as for the IAM role. No, it will not give, because we have enabled that. Test it. Yeah, so here you can see all the message from the database has been shown in our screen. So it's working fine. So what is going on in the backend, like when we are calling this API, it go to the Lambda functions, and after the Lambda function it go to the table name which is known as the dynamodb table, which is known as the dummy table. Now going to the dummy table, it will go to the explore the items. Now it will go to all this item will be accessed by that API, and it will be shown on the front end. So for using this API, go to the stage, copy this URL. So this is your API, and after copying this, write slash fetch. So your API will be copy this full, go to the resources, go to the get, and the fetch, and your API will be done. So all good. Let it, and make sure that you have used this API in your front-end code so that it should trigger, like dummy get not get. Go to the Lambda, and the API gateway, post, go to the stages, and make sure that you are using the correct URL. After copying this URL, slash, write your slash submit. Why submit? Because we are using the path here. For the post we are using the submit, and for the get data or production G, copy this, then go to this resources and go to the get. After the get, what it is showing will be your API front. So after copying this, go right / fetch. So yeah, that's it. And let's try in our Amplify, AWS Amplify. Now we can close all this. Yeah. After the Amplify, go to the application which you have deployed. Here is your application. So click on the Yash at gmail.com. This is dummy message from Yash. So click on the submit. The pop-up menu will appear. Message submitted successfully. Go to the dynamodb.Table. I have used this table earlier, so this will be stored in this. So yeah, this is the dummy message from the second. We can see Yash at gmail.com. This is the dummy message from the Yash and Yash. Now let's do one more. That was a UFO. Please subscribe my email. Copy this. This is for you all guys. Submit it. Message submitted successfully. Here is UFO. Click OK. Yeah, it come. Now go this. Refresh this. Here you can see please subscribe my channel. This please subscribe my channel. Here. So yeah, all this done. So thank you guys for watching this video. Have a good day. Please subscribe, like and share my channel.